All right, what's up, everybody? We are here after SmackDown, the SmackDown after WrestleMania, and let's talk about it. The Bloodline exploding, just as we talked about in some previous videos this week. You guys, I'm sure, saw, and I'm going to go ahead and throw it up on the screen here. I tweeted this out right after, and I think you are spot on. This is how it's going to be. I think we're about to get, as we teased in other videos this week, the Bloodline Civil War, the updated version, right? But I think this is going to be your pairing right here on the screen. You're going to have Solo, Tama Tonga, and you're going to have Jacob Fatu against Roman Reigns and the Usos. I think you're going to get the originals versus the Wolfpack version for you, you know, WCW fans in the late 90s. So I think that's going to be where they're headed. And look, Kevin, I think this is going to be something where I think it's got to happen, right? Because you think about it, like the brother versus brother, you get that out of the way. Like it's sort of the brotherly thing where you beat each other up and then finally you come back together because you're still brothers, right? And so I think that's what they're setting up. Somehow Jay's going to have to reunite with Jimmy. And then I think the tribal chief himself comes back at some point after the chaos has ensued. And he's the one that saves the Usos against this new group here. So yeah, I think you're getting the Bloodline Civil War, and I think this is how it's going to look. And I thought they pulled off great tonight. Like that was, I mean, we knew kind of the signings were there, but it was just a matter of when they were going to debut them, how they were going to debut them. But it makes total sense, right? The numbers make sense to have Tama Tonga join Solo, and then you can do the same with Jacob Fatu. But I think, where's the question? I'm going to find it up here. As always, guys, jump on in. We jumped right into things because I'm excited about this. I've been talking about the Bloodline explosion for a while now, based on what we saw at WrestleMania. You can check out some of the videos we did on the channel talking about how Solo and Roman interacted in that main event. That kind of told us a lot, I thought. But yeah, that is a good point. Solo. But Jimmy's the one that's out of there. Hey, as he said, the losses have consequences, right? So they'll probably eventually have consequences for Solo, but just not right now. So, yeah, I think that there you go. Like, I think this is the thing is ultimately what it is revealed as to get to next year, which you guys know my prediction is that we're going to get The Rock versus Reigns next year. I did my early WrestleMania 41 prediction video. I don't think we're going to hit on many of those, but I think we are going to hit on The Rock and Roman Reigns. So I think they did, the wording was there. Remember, Heyman said by orders of the tribal chief. And then Solo and Tama Tonga came to the back there whenever Kayla's trying to get a word with Heyman after he checks on Jimmy in the trainer's room. And that's when Tama Tonga says, by orders of the tribal chief, meaning there is their version of the tribal chief versus Heyman's version of the tribal chief. So I think that was really well done. Like I thought that was tremendous. So I think The Rock is your tribal chief. So I've seen some people say, well, maybe Jacob Fatu's the tribal chief now. He could be like the stand-in, maybe. I don't know. You still have to kind of add him to the mix, right? But I feel like Solo kind of moves into that role as sort of the main guy for now. But you feel like it's ultimately revealed at some point that The Rock has been the one pulling the strings here. You feel like that is probably where we're headed. So yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know if we're gonna say that Solo is the new one, but I think for now, like Solo's stepping into the main focus. Like Solo is definitely the one. You could see it as Heyman was talking. You knew it was coming because Solo is just frustrated. And you could see it on his face. We talked about the frustration with him yelling at Roman during that match at WrestleMania 40. And so it felt like, that was kind of how it was going to play out. So I'm excited about this because this gives you fresh matches, which is always important now. If you're going to keep the Bloodline thing going, I mean, there's numerous members out there. Like, we're going to be doing this thing for another 50 years with the Bloodline probably, but that's okay if it still works. Like, there's a lot of little tribal chiefs running around somewhere right now. So, I think that's it. So, yeah, that's a good point here, Bearded Dragon. I think you can move Jacob Fatu into the new Solo role or however you want to do it. And then you have those three now pairing off, where you have those three are kind of the rogue Bloodline, if you will. And then you've got your Bloodline originals that all have to come back together somehow to save the Bloodline, right? Reigns, Jimmy, and Jay somehow have to save what they created. They have to save the Bloodline. They have to save the family. And then, of course, eventually I think it's revealed The Rock is the one that's pit all of these new guys and Solo against the originals. So I think that would be kind of very interesting to see what happens. Yeah, there you go, Gerald. Solo going solo. This is the NWO splitting up. I put the tweet out. I didn't think it was going to get that much traction, but there were a lot of people that were like, wow, you called them the Wolfpack and the originals. I'm like, well, it's kind of what it feels like. You have the Wolfpack version and the original version. Yeah, so I think it's pretty awesome, and we'll see how they pull it off from here. So I'm going to try to catch some of you guys' questions as always. I appreciate you joining, and if you want to leave a super chat, you can do that. Make sure I don't miss your comments by doing that. And shout out to Juan. Yeah, hey, it's good to see you here, Juan. And always appreciate your support. Love the positivity. We try to just have fun here. That's what I like about you guys. It's not just negative. We like having fun. We like talking about this stuff, and that's what's fun. So yeah, I think what's next for the Bloodline, we find out. But a new little wrinkle tonight with Solo saying, "I'm not putting up with this anymore," and Solo's going rogue here with his new Bloodline. So yeah, I think it's going to be pretty awesome. So, yeah, everybody bringing up Solo's record. Come on, losses have consequences. That's what he said, right? So we'll find out exactly what that means. But, yeah, I think this is it. These are the kind of things, and you guys know, you watch the channel, like, we love doing the videos where, like, we're trying to predict what's next with the storylines, right? But it's not as easy as, it used to be, whereas it felt like in the Vince regime, you could predict everything that was going to happen. But here, it's like we can kind of see how they're going to do things maybe and see where the story's headed, but you don't know how they're going to do it exactly. And that's what makes it fun. So, yeah. Oh, sorry, Gerard. I'm sorry. I said Gerald. I apologize. I was looking at the name, and I saw the L, and I was combining the L into your first name. So I apologize for that. But appreciate you joining, of course. Yeah. So let me grab this from earlier. Kevin. And again, guys, if you're joining in for the first time, we do these reaction shows where we basically just hang out and talk. Like, I'm not doing this as reviewing every single segment and those kind of things. We're just here to discuss what you guys want to discuss. I try to get to as many comments as I can. That's how we started doing it. So, and my caveat as always, if the internet goes out, the screen goes out for a second, it's my internet. So it'll pop back up at some point. But what did I think of the SmackDown after Mania compared to Raw? I thought this was a really good addition to SmackDown because they kind of achieved the same sort of purpose, right? Where you had Braun Breaker, they put him in a spotlight position where you kind of, on Raw, you had your people that you put in positions that they're going to be the people moving forward. Tiffany Stratton was kind of in that position too. I know she lost to Naomi, but they have big plans for Tiffany Stratton. We've talked about that in other videos before. And I think, you look at everything else, right? Jade and Bianca as a team. We've teased that too. We're like, hey, we know they're going to do this tag team thing at some point. You got to believe they're building towards that tag team match with Asuka and Kairi Sane. So I thought they accomplished a lot. You get back to the AJ LA Knight rematch next week, which, as I said, at WrestleMania, I thought exceeded expectations. And I feel like we know who Cody's going to face next. AJ's going to get his win back on LA Knight. And I think that's a good start for Cody to have a match with AJ. There's history there. Cody brought it up. The only two guys that would have been the NWA champion and WWE champion. So there's history they can play with there. So yeah, I thought it was a really good show. I mean, and it's also 2 hours versus 3 hours. And sometimes it can be easier to watch. I think the SmackDown mid-card right now is a little bit, or at least it was going into WrestleMania. I thought it was a little bit lacking. I've said that before. But I think the draft will really, that's going to freshen things up a lot. But they have their breakers, they have their Strattons, they have Jade. Like they have a lot of people that they're pushing now on the way up. And so, look, Solo's stepping into a much bigger role now. So, yeah. Oh boy. I knew Don here. Don, you're in Detroit, right? Is that the Detroit? So I'm like, were you at the show? But not enough backstage footage shown on SmackDown. Well, hey, Grayson Waller, like they had their footage, right? From him and Theory. They had their tag team championship footage. But yeah. So, boy, if you guys want my thoughts on that, I did a full video on it, even though I didn't want to. I did do a video on what happened there. Shout out, yeah, I don't know if I always put my name. It's Blake. So, yeah, Blake is my name, and I probably don't say that enough, but I hit the record button, and I just forget to say my name. I'm like, hey, it's the Wrestling Reaction Channel. You guys aren't here maybe for me. You're just here to listen to what I have to say sometimes. So, yeah, but appreciate you guys. A lot of fun comments coming in. And yeah, I think it's pretty cool stuff they've got in motion now for the Bloodline. I was hoping they would give us something big on this show. I thought initially, I'm like, surely they're not just going to leave this hanging until Roman comes back. But I was like, there's no way they can do that. They have to push this thing forward pretty quickly. So yeah, I think that's going to be pretty awesome. So that's a great point here, Phil. I had not thought of that yet, just because I'm like, we're going right into this, but that's a great point. Like, you could have a situation where Jay now gets cost the title by means of Jacob Fatu, and like that's how you combine everything together. So we said, like, could Drew have some involvement, which I would assume Drew probably gets involved somehow, just because, he's kind of has his sight set on everything. But I mean, yeah, like, I think that's an interesting idea there for sure. That would be a nice way to do it, because it immediately, like, the stakes get higher, right? If you're like, Jay has this other chance, and it's not Jimmy this time. Jimmy's usually the one costing him. Now it's going to be somebody else. And so, yeah, so I think that could happen. I think that'd be pretty awesome. So, all right, I'm going to try to grab some of these again, guys. If you want to leave a super chat, you can do that. That way I don't miss your comments. And we did also, by the way, if you're into the retro wrestling stuff, I did put a comment today on the community tab. So you can look at the community tab on the channel, and we're going to start doing once a week. We're going to do like a retro show review. I gave you 4 backlashes: 1999, 2001, 2002, 2003. The poll has, like, I think 100-something votes, 200-something votes maybe, a runaway for Backlash 1999. So we're going to do a reaction video on that next week, and hopefully you guys have some fun with some of the retro stuff we're going to do here on the channel. So in addition to all the stuff we already do with the current product. So yeah, hey, I appreciate that. The channel's growing. Hey, it's all thanks to you guys, not me. It's you guys. You're awesome. And again, I just try to be, as positive I can about stuff, and just try to hit record and tell you about stuff that I enjoy, because I feel like it's so easy to hit record and just be negative about everything and say everything's the worst, and kind of go into the backlash, pun intended. But I just want to hit record and tell you guys something I enjoy, because I think that gives you a great community of fans, and we certainly have that here so far. So yeah, but so that's an interesting question here, Ryan. I think it's like, is the Bloodline done with Cody? I feel like for now they have to be done with Cody, because what you're going to do is you're going to transition Cody now into these next feuds, right? And AJ's one where there's history there, so they can go ahead and get to that. And that's my prediction. Like, I think it's going to be AJ, because otherwise, why are you doing Cody versus LA Knight? So I think that's kind of a situation where, and look, they also kept Randy away too. And I think this is, if you guys saw the prediction video I did for WrestleMania 41, that was one of the ones I had. I said, could you see Cody versus Randy Orton next year? Heel Randy Orton, Randy's kind of waiting in the wings, and eventually he gets his opportunity with all the history they have. So I think that's something where Cody's just going to get to the next couple feuds now, because it's not always easy to pull this off. And like, if you look at WWE in history, we've always said, like, Vince did not do a great job with, like, the babyface cheered champions, right? It always felt like there was just that big lull where they would win the title, the chase is over, what do you do next? And I think that was always an issue. Not everybody, but for the most part, it was always a big issue. And so I think you're going to have to get a couple Cody title wins, right? He's going to have to get some wins under his belt, but you've also got to put in a scenario where you have to start creating some of that believability that someone is going to beat Cody. And, that's how it works with these new champions. You're like Bayley's going to face Naomi now, right? She beat Tiffany Stratton, but we know Naomi's kind of there just probably to lose to Bayley, and that's probably what AJ Styles is going to be to Cody. And so, but that's what you have to do. Like, you're going to have those title defenses, and so you sort of take a break from the Bloodline for now, and then, like I said, maybe you get to the Orton stuff, SummerSlam perhaps, if it's not Cody and The Rock at SummerSlam, which I saw reports today that they want to do Cody and The Rock next year at WrestleMania. I don't know, because if you do that, to me, that delays Roman and Rock for another year maybe. And I don't know if you can delay that match another year based on the way they're doing this Bloodline, but who knows? Maybe they're like, hey, we're going to drag out this new version of the Bloodline for 2 years, but Rock's going to be what? I mean, what's his age going to be 2 years from now, right? I don't know if I would take a chance on that. So, yeah. Chris, sorry, I know you left some comments earlier too, and I just have not had a chance to tag all these to make sure that I have, we've got a lot of comments coming in, but the new guy is Tama Tonga. So he is the son of Haku. So one of the biggest legends of just, if there's a guy in professional wrestling you do not want to mess with, it's our friend Haku, as we know. And so Tama Tonga comes in, and yeah, so they're really embracing the Bloodline with him. It makes a lot of sense. Came over from New Japan, and yeah, like it's a no-brainer to add him to the mix now and see what he can do, because this is a big spot for him. If you really think about it, like he's he's got to thrive now. He's in the biggest storyline on SmackDown, and they obviously feel comfortable enough to put him in this position to where you're in there with the Bloodline, like you're in there with the top story along with Cody and that kind of stuff. But so I feel like they know what they're doing by putting him there. So. All right, Gerard, I'm going to say your name right this time, too. So, Bloodline Hollywood led by The Rock, and Bloodline Wolfpack led by Roman Reigns. There you go. So, I'm good with that. Think Cody will have the belt until SummerSlam. I do, because I think where things get interesting for Cody is, remember it, and I was actually pulling this up yesterday because I could not remember how the schedule falls. But you have SummerSlam, what is that, August or late July, and then you've got the Bash at Berlin after that. I think that's where you want to do Cody and Gunther. Now, I know I've seen some people say maybe you hold that off till next year's WrestleMania. Maybe you do it somewhere else, but wouldn't that just make a lot of sense? Now, that puts Cody in an interesting position. If they do that match at Bash in Berlin, like Cody's going to essentially be the heel there. And so I'm curious to see if they would handle that in another way, or you could have Gunther go for the other championship, right? So I'm not sure about that, but I do think Cody has to probably have the title until SummerSlam, which I don't know. Like my prediction of him and The Rock, it's all based on The Rock's schedule, which I just don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen when you look at certain reports and such. So we'll see. They have good options, right? So they can do it one way. And they did sort of tease maybe, Reigns and Rollins tonight, but that was sort of before everything changed with the Bloodline. So I don't know if they would do Reigns and Rollins, perhaps SummerSlam, but we'll find out. So. All right, I'm going to try to catch up on some of you guys' comments. As always, hit that subscribe button if you're joining for the first time. I see some new faces in here. Appreciate you watching. Check out all the videos here on the channel. We have a lot of fun with this. So, and you can also join the $2.99 membership tier by hitting that join button. I've already got several people done that. I haven't even promoted that to you guys, but it's basically just, hey, you're donating $2.99 a month for me to make more videos, which I greatly appreciate that people have already been willing to do that. So, again, that's why you guys are the best. So, all right. So let's see what else we got here. And I'm going to try to catch up on some of these stories. Tell me give me your reaction. What did you think? How would you compare this SmackDown to Raw? I mean, obviously there's no Rock, but I thought both were really solid shows to progress things moving forward, into, kind of the next tier of storylines that you're going to see. Now, what's next for Orton and Logan Paul? Yeah, that's a good question. Paul did the little interview he sent in tonight, and still taking aim at Kevin Owens. So you feel like there's more to come there. And so yeah, I think that's obviously going to be something they forward here. But I'm curious to see like what's next for Orton, because certainly again they could do that. Paul took aim at him as well, so it feels like they're continuing these stories between these guys. And so I'm curious to see how they kind of move forward with those two, because. That's the thing with Orton. Like, I'm curious to see what his schedule is moving forward, right? I mean, he's been a pretty regular guy now since he's came back, but they've got to have something and plan for him. And I think the eventual plan is getting to Orton and Cody. It's just, when is that going to happen? So, yeah, we'll find out. So we'll see what happens there. All right, let me catch up on some other stuff from earlier. Yeah, Jake posted this. I haven't. Like the Bloodline trying to figure out the family tree. I feel like I need the Rock's family tree from Vegas in front of me now. Like the big screen where you just have. Maybe I should. What do you guys think? Should I just put that behind me moving forward? That way we can see the entire Bloodline tree when we have to ask these questions and try to figure out who's connected to who. But I think you're right about that. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's correct. So, all right. Yeah, all right. I know I missed some ones earlier, but. The Bloodline did explode. I know that was a comment we saw earlier. Yeah, the Bloodline has exploded for sure. They have done it, and yeah, NJ Knight says here you could have Jacob attack Jay on Raw, and you really start to further that stuff there. So yeah, and there's a great point here too by Don. Like, and I said this with like Tama Tonga a minute ago, but it's. Like, all the spotlight is on them now. Like, they are the ones that have to carry this without Roman Reigns, without The Rock. And that is a lot of pressure. But if you think of it, it's like, hey, this is your situation now where if you're Triple H and you're everyone else kind of looking at this thinking, this is where we find out. Like, are we building the next generation of, like, main event stars? Or is this, these just going to be guys that are going to be, all right, they're kind of in your mid-card, they're your supporting role for Roman and whoever else, Or can they be basically what the Usos were, where the Usos started out as just your mid-card tag team and they were there forever and ever and ever. But then they put them in the Bloodline. And then what happens? They completely are elevated by the story, by the fact that they're paired with Reigns. And so I'm curious to see, can Solo bring everybody to that level, or someone else going to, how are they going to play into this? So it's a great point. A lot of pressure now to see how they handle this, because the mystique of Roman Reigns and The Rock and all that, like, they're not going to be there every week. And so it gives these guys a great opportunity to step into these roles and kind of make it their own now. So, yeah, I agree. There's a lot on these guys. So, all right, let's get some other stuff here. All right, let's see. So Ryan asked, do you think LA Knight gets a world title in the next year? Yeah, that's the thing, right? This world title scene is so crowded. I know I'm about to reel off some names, and I know I'm going to forget some guys, but I mean, you've got Cody, you've got Damian Priest. They're your two champs, right? You've got McIntyre, you've got Rollins, you've got Gunther, CM Punk. I mean, AJ Styles is going to get a shot. You've got Orton out there. Owens may get back up there at some point. Again, LA Knight's there. Solo, I feel like, is probably going to get a shot at some point. And there are other people as well that I know I'm forgetting. But, yeah, like, that is just kind of where they are. There's a lot of guys there. And I think LA Knight, maybe the next progression is to go after one of the other titles. And I don't think LA Knight versus Sami Zayn is anything that makes sense right now. LA Knight versus Logan Paul, I still think that's one that makes a lot of sense. Just a matter of, do they do it? And so maybe he has to kind of go that route for now, but he's so over, right? And, I mean, you could draw parallels, I guess, like to back to in the 80s or even in the 90s, I'm sure. There were guys that were so over that never got a chance to win the world title just because it was such a crowded scene. And it does feel like now, even with Roman leaving, even if Rollins steps away for a little bit, Reigns steps away, or Roman, I said him, like Rock's not there, of course. Yeah, like there are opportunities, but it is one where I just don't know which belt he captures, unless I think what LA Knight probably needs more than anything is, if they're not going to do the Logan Paul thing, you get LA Knight to Raw somehow, and you see if there are a bunch of fresh things he can do there. So, yeah, but we'll see. So, hey, I appreciate this. Yeah, I appreciate the nice words from you. Just incredible. So, yeah, hey, I appreciate it. Yeah, we have a lot of fun here, and glad you're joining us here for this. So, here, let's see what else we got here. How did the Bloodline explode? I mean, I guess technically we're just going to say that, basically Solo blew this whole thing up. But I don't think it was Solo. As we're going to find out, I think it was The Rock. And we'll find out who else is involved, as we think we know, with Tama Tonga's, debut and everything. And, boy, Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman was great tonight, I thought, as he always is with his facial expressions and everything. But, I mean, they scared Paul Heyman to no end tonight. And I thought that was perfect. So, yeah, that was nice. And, hey, look at this. Just incredible. Giving out 5 gift memberships. Look at you. That is tremendous. Thank you so much. Because, like I said, we just started that thing, and all it is a donation tier. If you want me to be able to make more videos and do more live streams for you guys, that's all it is. It's not much, just a couple dollars a month. So I'm not asking for $1 million man money here, Ted DiBiase, or The Rock money or anything. So let's see what else we got. Hey, I mean, I know Cody's not for everybody, and I did get a sense even tonight there were some things with Cody that you can definitely see. Like, Cody's going to have that heel run at some point because I think the fans will turn on him. It's not happening yet, but it's going to happen at some point in the future, maybe a year or two from now. But it will be there because there is so much pressure. Like you said, Cody's now the man, and the chase is different than once you're actually the man. And so we'll see how he delivers. But, yeah, got a lot of goodwill, though, coming out of WrestleMania for sure. So, all right, let's see what else we got. So, yeah, the Bloodline's going to be fine. I agree. There's a lot of Bloodline running around in that family. So there will be plenty of people coming to do that. So, all right, let's see what else we got here. Let's pull this one up here. I'm thinking way ahead, but maybe 2 Bloodline teams in Survivor Series War Games. That's a good point. That could happen for sure, right? You do the big Bloodline War Games match and see how it unfolds. So Triple H loves his War Games. So, yeah, I think that could definitely be something that works, maybe, depending on how they want to do it. Brock returning soon. I don't know. I think he'll be back at some point. I just don't know, if soon. It's hard to say soon, though, right? But I mean, they've got a lot of PLEs coming up, so I don't know if they'll bring him in for one of those maybe and do kind of the one-off match. I don't know if I ever see Brock back in a situation where he's doing just a regular program, maybe like to the level he did with Cody, like that was a multi-match series. I'm not sure if that's what they see with Brock, because I think my guess is there are so many people they want to push on what is already a loaded roster, and you're elevating some of these people from NXT now and all that. So, but still, would you love to do the Brock Gunther match? I'm sure Triple H would love to do it, because that was one that we thought we were going to get this year. We know why it didn't happen, but I would say Brock returns at some point. Yeah, I don't think it was for a while there. It looked like you're saying there's no chance Brock ever returns with everything that was going on, but I think now he'll be back at some point. So, yeah. So, yeah, you could do Owens versus Solo. You got to give Solo some quality wins if you're going to put him in this position, right? Within the bloodline, if he's going to be one of the guys that's carrying things, you got to start building him up even more than they already have. And I think getting convincing wins over, yeah, you got to do it over established stars. Like, that's something you got to really be able to do. So, yeah, I agree. So, all right. So, SmackDown, yeah, Cody, this schedule, he's announced his schedule, I think, or at least he may have put it out there, or somebody put it out there. I don't think there were a ton of SmackDown appearances. There were a lot of Raw appearances, but the draft's coming up in a couple weeks. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to do that. My thing is, I know they do the draft. We got the split brands, but you still, like, if you have Cody, you definitely want to put him on multiple brands, I would think, and give him an opportunity. But, clearly if they're moving towards AJ Styles, he's going to stay on SmackDown for now. It seems like, that was kind of the main brand for Roman. He won his title, so I would think that, Cody probably stays there, but the schedule always subject to change. So, Uncle Howdy, it's a great point. We didn't bring that up in the Raw reaction, but you saw the stuff during, Bronson Reed's thing. They did the tweet the other day. I don't know if you guys saw this. Was that yesterday or the day before? Just a tweet that was like, hello, 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 hello. And then they deleted it, like, right afterwards. And people were saying maybe that had something to do with it. So, that's a good question. I'm curious to see how they do the Uncle Howdy thing with Bo Dallas. So, yeah, we'll find out. But we will see him at some point. So, here's a whooping the family members of The Undertaker. There's another one? Oh, Undertaker's going to have to return at every WrestleMania for like the next 50 years because he's going to have a new member of the family that he has to chokeslam. So, yeah, it is kind of that's a good point, Iceberg. It is kind of a Bullet Club reunion in WWE. You got a lot of the main, you got some main members there, right? You got AJ, Tama Tonga, got Finn Balor, you got, there you go. So, Cody, of course, and yeah, so, yeah, but I agree. All right, let's see what else we got here. We will keep rolling right along. So, you're going to go, all right, Christopher's going to go with Roman, number 30 in the Rumble. I think Roman's got to come back for that, right? He could still be number 30 in the Rumble, but surely Roman's going to be back for SummerSlam, I would think. They got to do something there, and whether that's the big Roman solo match or, you do the big 6-man tag that we've said, the Bloodline Originals versus the Wolfpack. Yeah, I think they got to do that. So, yeah. Cody does have a tight travel schedule. Cody's going to be everywhere. But that's kind of the main point, right? They gave Cody the belts for that reason. They want him to be the face of the company. And, he's the new John Cena. Whether that works out in the same way or not, like, that is the role he's been thrust into. Is he is expected to be the guy that's everywhere, doing all the appearances, media, yeah, like that's Cody now. And so he's going to be expected to do it. All right, Chris Santos Escobar. Yeah, I think that's the thing is, like, I feel like with SmackDown, you've had guys like this sort of that are in the mid-card, like, ready to try to elevate themselves to that next tier. And he's one of them. I'm curious to see draft-wise what they do. If they move him to Raw maybe, or move the entire group, which that's hard to do. But, yeah, I think that's gonna be interesting to see what they do with him. Because clearly Triple H is always, you see the way he's used him. Like, there is a lot of value they put into him, and the group as well, with everyone there. So yeah, we'll find out with him too. Was yeah, the tree was just a Nirvana fan. It may have been. Who knows, right? Just playing around. That's all. So yeah, I agree, Justin. When Roman comes back, it's going to be he's coming back for Solo. He's coming back for the whole group over there, but that Roman solo match is the one that we just haven't gotten yet, right? You've gotten Roman and the other iterations of the Bloodline, but now you're going to get Roman and Solo. Like, that's the one that was teased forever. And as we mentioned in the video we did right after WrestleMania, I said the tension, the frustration between those two in that finish of the night 2 main event, that was clearly building towards that. So yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with this. The Bloodline story is right now and that's the tricky part, right? After Cody finishes the story and The Rock goes away, the Bloodline story is still the main story, I think. Because even if Cody faces AJ and you bring up the history, this is still the most compelling thing they have with the Bloodline. And so, yeah, I agree with that for sure. So, just as a reset, appreciate you guys joining here. We've got 100 plus of you in here chatting about SmackDown tonight. And, I said I don't, this is the first week I started doing these after WrestleMania last weekend. The first time we've actually done live streams here on the channel. Of course, I've just done the videos as usual, but these are a lot of fun. And so I'm going to try to make these a regular thing. I can't guarantee I'll be able to do it every Monday and Friday night. But if we don't, we'll do what we did after WrestleMania Night 1. We'll do it the next morning and still do a live show then, schedule permitting and such. So, yeah, but I appreciate you guys jumping in. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, first time joining. But, all right, let's check out some other stuff. So, do you think that's what it's going to be? Drums and Cowboys here, Jacob Fatu as the new tribal chief. That was thought crossed my mind as they said it, because I think that's kind of what they were teasing, right? As I mentioned earlier, with Solo and Tama Tonga specifically said it to Heyman after Heyman came out from checking on Jimmy, was that they were following the orders of the tribal chief. So I'm like, do they introduce Jacob Fatu in that role as the new tribal chief? Possible, because you're not going to have The Rock there. And I wonder if that's held until The Rock does come back to get back to Roman, because I think before The Rock gets to Roman, surely it's got to be Cody first. And so that's kind of a separate story now, because as we said a minute ago, Cody's kind of branched off from the Bloodline at this point. Like, they're not tying the two together anymore. And so they got options, and they're both good options, I think. But man, that'd be talk about being put into a big role. Jacob Fatu, they sign you, and you're going as the new tribal chief. Ooh. Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu will be a great match, though, once we get to that one, too. So, yeah, I agree here, Iceberg. Yeah, we hinted at it earlier. I think, how many months we've been talking about this? I'm like, they've got to do Bianca and Jade at some point, and we know they're going to team them up. Like, it became apparent they were going to do that. If you watch the prediction video I did for WrestleMania 41, I went with Rhea and Bianca, but I said, you have to pair those three together somehow. If it's Rhea and Bianca, if it's Rhea and Jade, or is it Bianca and Jade? Like, I think that's your combinations for WrestleMania 41 next year. But I'm curious to wonder, do they get to Jade that quickly? Or do they just keep working with Jade, and maybe it takes another year to get her to that singles match, WrestleMania main event level? If they did that, maybe that's where they hold off the Bianca and Jade. Maybe they team for a full year, and then you start that turn, and then the following year they get to it. Because they're building these long-term stories. And that's not what it usually has been under Vince, at least not in the recent times. It was back in the day. But, yeah, I could definitely see them doing, Bianca versus Jade next year if they feel like Jade is ready. And I think I agree with you. They're going to be the new tag team champs. I think they've been setting that up for a while. So, yeah. So, I'm with you. So, all right. So, yeah, I agree, Joey. I mean, they've been hinting at that for a while now. Now we're kind of to that level to where it makes sense to do the match. They teased different, dissension between them at multiple times. You always had Solo being the one that would kind of wasn't afraid to step up to Roman. But yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, I forgot about that. So I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, they still haven't done Roman and Jimmy, have they, to that level? But I think now, I don't think they're going to do it, because I think that Roman's going to be aligned with the Usos once they all come back on the same page. So, yeah, that was my prediction, Phil. I said I went Roman and Rock as the probably obviously your main event. My guess of night 2 of WrestleMania 41, and then I think Cody versus Orton was my prediction. But you could certainly see a Cody versus Punk thing. I went with Punk versus Rollins just because I wondered, do they get back? They get back to that, because we know they were going to do it this year until the Punk injury hit. But it probably worked out well for Drew, especially, right? Because he got thrust into that new role. Yeah, for sure. So, main event, girl, yeah, I mean, there is a new tribal chief, and we will find out who that is. But I teased in that little YouTube short I did earlier. I'm like, Roman's about to get overthrown, I think, as your tribal chief. And it seems like that, yep, good point. We did a video on that too. Triple H did say that the Roman Reigns storyline, the next one coming up, will blow people's minds. And that was his exact wording, mind-blowing. And so he's right. It's got off to a good start here, I thought. I knew those guys. I knew Tama Tonga would debut. We know we're still waiting on Jacob Fatu, but yeah, I thought they did it in a really good way. So I fast forwarded a little bit through the commercials. I got started a few minutes late, and so I didn't even check the Uncle Howdy thing during the commercial. I have to go back and watch that because I was kind of just cruising on through there for sure. So cruising on through. But all right, seeds have been planted here, Don, from the. Yeah, I mean, keep going, right? Keep going with all of them. So bring them all in. There's plenty to choose from, as we said. The Bloodline's got plenty to choose from here, and it's just a matter of seeing what they do. So. Yeah, I like this, Malik. I think you're on to something here. That's kind of my thing. The day one Bloodline. There you go. I called them the originals, but I like the day one. That makes total sense. I could definitely see WWE teasing it that way. Day one Bloodline versus those three guys. And then you get to the big final showdown between the final boss and the tribal chief at some point. And my guess is WrestleMania 41. So, boy, if that's your story for the next year, I'm sold. Like, I think they're going to do it well. So I like it. I like the way they're going. So that's a good prediction. I like that. Maybe do Solo and Roman at the Rumble. That could make sense because that probably would be a situation where there's no reason to necessarily put either man in the Rumble because you're probably building to that Roman and Rock match, which is not going to have a title, I wouldn't think. It doesn't need a title. Remember, that was most people's thinking from the beginning is like, why would you do this match because it doesn't need the title? It doesn't to be the main event, especially if it's for the Bloodlines at stake, right? You don't need the title. The storyline sells itself. So that's a great call. We'll see if that happens. Yeah, for sure. So, all right. What else we got here? All right. Thoughts on, I'll get back to this, Kevin. I know you mentioned this a second ago. Thoughts on AEW putting out the CM Punk footage. I did a video on it. It was a little bit of I think it was almost 20 minutes. I talked about it. I said, here's the deal. I don't think anyone from the start thought it was a good idea. I don't know how it was a good idea after the fact. And so I guess the point is, if you're doing this on your TV show, my big question was, like, what's the payoff? Because you guys know I'm all into the story, the historical stuff. Like, how do you increase the business and what are the storylines that get those cooking up? I just don't think this accomplished that. Like, to me, did anyone really change their opinion on CM Punk? Did anyone really change their opinion on the entire situation? The people who support Punk are still going to support Punk. The people who are not going to support Punk are not going to support Punk. Like, I don't think this changes anything. And my point was, you don't have the payoff. Like, CM Punk's not going to be there next week on Dynamite, right? He's not going to be there anytime soon, ever, maybe again, is my guess. So you're not getting like CM Punk and Jack Perry. Yes, this could make Jack Perry a bigger star when he comes back, maybe. They were doing the whole thing where his shirts sold out and all this other stuff, but I think it was a misfire in a lot of ways. I just thought it was not a good idea to waste your TV time on something like that people were chanting for CM Punk, and he's not on the show. He's in WWE now. So I just didn't think it was a good idea at the start, and I haven't changed my opinion on that after the fact. So you can check out the full video, though. Again, guys, if you want to check it out on the channel, I did do something on that. I don't do a lot of AEW. If you're new here, I've said the reason I don't do a lot of AEW is just because I don't enjoy the product as much now as I do the WWE product. And so I'm not just going to talk about stuff and be negative about it. I would rather talk about stuff that I enjoy. Like, that's just the way I am. So, yeah. So if there's a lot more stuff that AEW does that I find for my taste as a wrestling person, then I'll do more on it. But for now, I'm enjoying the WWE stuff. So that's pretty much it. So, all right. So let's get to some other stuff here. Yeah, I agree with you, Chris. The Triple H era is pretty good stuff right now. I think he's cooking. The game is doing some good stuff here for sure. So, all right, let me keep going down here. And again, guys, I appreciate you hopping on here Friday night here in the States. And yeah, SmackDown, good show. That's kind of, if you're joining late here, I thought it was a really good show. They accomplished a lot, and we set up our AJ Styles versus LA Knight match for next week. I thought Braun Breaker and Tiffany Stratton both looked good in terms of, how they were presented, even though Tiffany lost. We know, I said it back in Elimination Chamber, she's clearly someone that has star potential. They're clearly behind her as a talent. And yeah, I thought they did a good job. And then, of course, the Bloodline stuff, as we said, just tremendous. I thought it was tremendous stuff. I do think Trick will be on the main card at some point, right? I mean, they're still doing I'm actually going to, I don't know if you guys want them. I don't know how many of you actually watch NXT the way you watch Raw and SmackDown, because I know not everyone does, but I would love to start doing more NXT stuff here, because I find what they're doing right now too is very entertaining. So HBK, he's also, he's doing some good stuff there. So yeah. I like this comment, Mr. Wrestling Reaction. That's a good name for me, right? I did reveal my name earlier, but you can still call me Mr. Wrestling Reaction. I think The Rock's on the side with Solo. I think The Rock's calling the shots, and if he's not, if Jacob Fatu's calling the shots, ultimately The Rock will side with that faction because they want The Rock and Reigns match. So, yeah. All right. So let's see. Yeah. So that's a great point. I didn't mention that in the video I did, but you want to talk about storyline gold that Drew McIntyre has now for CM Punk after the footage was released? Tremendous. Like, Drew is going to use this to no end. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And that's why I'll spoil it. I pretty much have given away all my early WrestleMania 41 predictions. I'm sure they'll change by next month. But I did say I would love to see John Cena versus Drew McIntyre, because I would just love to see what McIntyre would do with social media. His trolling of John Cena could be next level, just like it has been for CM Punk. And so I would love to see Drew and John Cena. Both are like the chosen ones, right? They were the chosen ones at one point. And so, yeah. But SmackDown needs to be a 3-hour show. Oh, I don't know. I don't mind having a 2-hour show in the WWE cycle like NXT is, right? I'm okay with just one 3-hour show. I'm not going to lie to you. But they could get a lot out of it if they did go 3 hours, which my guess is at some point in the future, it'll probably be 3 hours, because it's all about, advertisers and getting the sponsorship money and all that stuff. And of course, SmackDown's going back to USA now. And so, yeah, like they're going to stay 2, hopefully. I think that's been the plan. But hey, they could do a lot of stuff if they went to 3. But you're not going to have every week, though. You can do like the Cody and the Rock thing, where you just have, 1 hour promo. So, yeah. Joey, you watch NXT every Tuesday? Yeah, okay. Well, we might start doing some NXT stuff too. I think we'd have a lot of fun with NXT because, like I said, I think it's so interesting how they've developed NXT now under Shawn Michaels and how they're using it and utilizing it the way it should be utilized, right? To build stars for the next level. Like, I'm pretty sure we'll get Roxanne Perez coming up. We saw Dragunov on Raw. I feel like that had to be for a reason, because they want to feature ththese people knowing they're the next ones in line to make their way up. And so, yeah, I think they're doing a lot of good stuff with NXT for sure. So, yeah, that's right, NJ Knight. Mr. Blake. I feel like a school teacher. I'll call me Mr. Blake. Yeah, when Roman comes back, he's going to get cheered for sure. I don't think there's any question, because you kind of heard it tonight, and I have to pull up my notes here to see exactly what Heyman said. But I mean, even like Cody praised Roman, right? They got the thank you Roman chants on Raw. They knew what they were doing. They're setting you up for where Roman returns, and I think, as I said, he's going to be the one that helps the Usos. I think that's what happens when they get to that, whatever point that is this summer. I think that's gonna be the play here. Is Roman comes back, 3-on-2 advantage for Solo, Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu. Roman's the one that helps Jay and Jimmy. I think that's how you play it out for sure. And oh, by the way, guys, we haven't mentioned this at all, but Cody said something tonight, and I'm going to do the video on this, but he pretty much gave away, he didn't say it, but he pretty much gave away what The Rock handed him on Monday. I'm going to see if anybody caught it. It was not my theory, by the way. If you watch the video I did of the lighter, it was not the lighter after what Cody said tonight, which is unfortunate because, I was really into that theory. Because I was thinking, man, The Rock wanted to blow this guy's bus up. That's how willing he was to take Cody's spot away from him. I wanted that to be true, because in the Attitude Era, that would have been just another Monday. Somebody blowing up somebody else's bus. But looks like they're not going that route. They went with something else. Yeah. So here I think is your winner, Joey, and I think you're right. I'm pretty sure it's the Rolex that Cody gifted to Roman, Seth, and The Rock for the WrestleMania 40 thing, right? Like, that was the whole story. I don't know if I like that one as much as some of the other theories, but it's pretty simple. I thought Cody was a little too angry just to have his Rolex watch that he bought return to him. But it's fine. It works. If they don't want it to be a big deal, then just get it over with now, and that way you don't have to think about it moving forward. So, yeah. Drew versus Gunther, that's an interesting prediction for Mania for the world title. I mean, we know those guys. Anytime they're going to have a match. Like, Sheamus coming back, too. Just throw Sheamus back in there, and let's just get what we got last year. Let's just do it again. Why not? That was so good. Let's just do it again. So, see, that's the question. I think if you're going to do Gunther winning the title, I think it's got to be at the Bash in Berlin. Like, I think that's where you do it. And that could be, let's say Cody does face The Rock at SummerSlam. Or who would be the SummerSlam opponent? Maybe it's Orton. All right? Let's say it's Rock or Orton for Cody's SummerSlam opponent. I think you want to come out of that as like Cody is just completely spent, right? He's been taken to the emotional and physical level after that match. And then I think the Bash of Berlin is, I want to say it's like 3 or 4 weeks later after that. And so you could really have Gunther step up there, and he takes over a beaten down Cody by that point, given how much the SummerSlam feud took out of him. I think that would be my prediction. If they're going to do it, why wouldn't you do it there? Because that is a huge deal to have that in Berlin and do it that way. So, yeah. So that's it. So, yeah, T-Rob is back. Roll. You said roll ride. I'm going to assume you meant roll tide. Yeah, it's definitely the Rolex. And I just thought that one was a little too simple. But, hey, you guys know we love getting into our theories here. But maybe at some point they'll bring the lighter back into it. Maybe at some point we'll find out The Rock was the one who put the fireball on Cody's bus. That's what I'm hoping for. But we didn't get it right this time. Yeah. So the next big heel to fight Cody. Well, I mean, we think it's going to be AJ now, and I don't know if you qualify AJ as the next big heel. They've definitely done some good stuff to kind of reset and restart AJ again. I think, maybe they'll have a situation where they can heat him up a little bit with LA Knight. So, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But I think that there's definitely a situation here where there are a lot of opportunities, and I think that's where the draft's going to make it hard to predict right now who it's going to be, right? So, there are a lot of options. I think it's going to be the draft that you have to figure it out. So, I don't know. Like, I think Gunther they're going to hold off on, and that's my guess. Yeah, so I think I would probably just, I don't know, who's it going to be? You guys give me your thoughts. Like, who's going to be after AJ? Because we assume it's AJ next. So, I'm not sure where they go after that, but it's going to, again, the draft will depend on a lot. I mean, they got to do Solo at some point, right? Because, I mean, Heyman said that tonight. It's like, he told him that you have to be able to get the championship back to be able to have the locker room back. That's what he said, right? So that's something to keep in mind. So, I mean, you have to have the Bloodline try to chase Cody, but you assume that's going to be The Rock at some point. But do they do a Cody versus one of these guys from the Bloodline before that? You could see that happen. So we'll find out. But all right, guys, keep your questions coming in. A lot of good stuff. As I said, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. And a lot of you joining in, 100-plus people here, having fun with us here on a Friday night. And, yeah, I appreciate you guys joining. And always a fun discussion. Leave any predictions, any feedback you have on the show as well. And, yeah, we'll continue to take questions here for a few more minutes. We'll hop off here in a few. And, again, shout out to Just Incredible earlier, gifting out 5 memberships to things here, and so yeah, I appreciate that. But let's see what else. I'm trying to get to some comments that you guys have here. All right, let's see what we got. And by the way, my internet looks like it's going in and out, so if you have any problems, let me know. What do you think? Do you guys agree with this? I think this is an interesting thought. I was wondering this tonight as I was watching. Heel Bayley. Do you think it's better than what we have or what we started with tonight? I think always, like, there's an edge when you're a heel. Like, there's just an edge to you, right? And it's the first time Bayley's kind of been in this role in a while. So we'll see how she adjusts to it. Because this is the different Bayley character than the initial, like, babyface Bayley when she came up on the main roster. And so it's just much different. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what they do with that. Yep. That was the big takeaway from tonight. Wins and losses matter. So that's what we learned. The Bloodline cares about the wins and losses. Even though everyone's brought up their solo win-loss record and all that. So, yeah. But, I mean, it's an interesting point. Like, is everyone on board with this? Like, do you agree that Roman should be the guy that starts getting cheered? Do you think that's going to, is he going to go back to the big dog? Because you don't need that, I don't think. that's definitely not the direction you want to go. But yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. Like, especially, it's hard because like we only have what we've seen recently. Like, it feels like, you know, the big dog and the tribal chief are two completely different people playing the characters. So yeah, like it'll be interesting to see how they evolve him now, because this is the new level for him. Yeah, like as the shirt says, it's another level, right? So we'll find out. Yeah, I said Kevin earlier. I don't know what they do with Orton next. I mean, they kind of still tying in Logan Paul, but I think ultimately the destination for Orton is Cody. But what do you do in the meantime? And that's where, as I said, I mean, the draft's 2 weeks away, and I think that's where you start to really freshen things up. Maybe they move Cody. Maybe they move Orton away from Cody for now, and somehow you get back to it. And maybe they don't do that match a year from now. Maybe they wait a little longer, but I don't know if you can, because, you know, you just don't know when Orton's going to retire and those kind of things. So, yeah. So, yeah, I think Solo and Cody's going to have to happen at some point. And to me, does that happen before you get to Rock? Probably, right? So I would think so, but we'll just see how quickly they get there. And that may play into Backlash. Like, maybe Cody wins, beats AJ Styles, and that's where the Bloodline takes aim at Cody. After that, maybe that's something you can do. So, yeah, Logan, I was trying to remember exactly what Logan said tonight on his promo. I was kind of zoning in and out on what he was saying. But, yeah, he basically pointed out that he was the reason that WrestleMania sold out and all this stuff. So, yeah, I don't think you'll see Becky anytime soon. It sounded like she's taking some time off. Of course, we know Seth probably going to be out for at least a couple more weeks at the minimum. So, you know, you'll have a Seth return. Maybe they bring Seth back at Backlash. Not for a match, maybe, but maybe that starts his next feud for whatever. So, can Dominic be redeemed as a babyface? Well, that's a challenge, right? Getting people not to boo Dom. I don't know. We'll find out. I think that's an interesting one for sure. I think we got a ways to go, because people are not going to be... They're not going to be stop booing Dom anytime soon. So, yeah. So, yeah, I think that's what they do. They have to do with Roman. Like, he has to keep his same demeanor. You still have to be, you know, the entrance still needs to take 5 minutes. Like, you got to still do it that way. Like, I think there's a way you can get by with it, but they just got to make sure they don't, as it was said a minute ago, they don't take him back to the big dog days, because that's not going to work for people. You know, just not the character, but just the approach. Like, he needs to still be the Roman he has been, but be very cerebral, kind of the way he's always been. So, yeah. But, yeah, Cameron Grimes, when I saw that tonight that he was the one against Braun Breaker, yeah. I was like, boy, stock has fallen a lot. I guess the character makes the stock has fallen. I guess pun intended on that one too. So, yeah, not ideal. So, yeah, maybe Cody and Orton does come after SummerSlam. I could see that for sure. Like I said, that was my prediction for WrestleMania 41 next year. So maybe they hold it off till then. But, I mean, you just never know with Orton, I guess, because, I mean, he's had the injury stuff, and he's been okay for now. But, you know, that's just the more bumps you take, the shorter your career gets. And so we'll find out. So, yeah, LWO drama is definitely coming soon. That was teased tonight again. It seems like Carlito's up to something. I think we mentioned that last time around. For sure. And they did the questioning of Santos. He's like, it's not me. So, yeah, but we'll see. All right, guys, we're going to hop off here in just a couple minutes. So get any other questions, comments you have in. As I said, I got a couple videos brewing. I did say it earlier. We're going to start doing a retro review each week. So we'll do a retro reaction to an old WWE show each week. May expand it beyond WWE. For now, we're going to keep it to that. So you can go to the community tab here on the channel. Go find that. There's a poll up. Got a couple hundred votes maybe so far. Giving you a lot of options for backlashes. Backlash 99, Backlash 2001, Backlash 2002, Backlash 2003. Those are your 4 options. And I'm just going to tell you, even if all of you in here voted right now for something other than Backlash 99, I don't know if it would win, because that one is the faraway choice, because that was Steve Austin and The Rock in the main event on that one. And so I might do a review on that next week. We'll start doing those once a week. So I'll give you a poll, and you can vote on it. So I appreciate you guys. All right, a couple more things, and I'm going to hop off here. Let's see. Do I think the Judgment Day is going to split anytime soon? Well, I mentioned after WrestleMania, I think the interesting part with that is now that Priest has the title, and we'll see how long he keeps it. I don't think he's going to have like a 6-month reign or anything. But you can definitely play up the jealousy within the bloodline, right? For Priest having the championship. And so I think they're going to lean into that. The question is, how soon do they get there? because, we kind of know what to expect with Priest. He's going to face Jay coming up next. I think you got to start. There's already been dissension, right, between the Judgment Day. And so I think if you just kind of keep pushing that now that he has the title, maybe Finn wants that title. We've already seen JD look a little bit irritated. What's Dom's role? That has to bring out some jealousy with Priest having the championship. So we'll see if, Rhea can hold the peace there within the Judgment Day, but I don't think that's going to happen. So we'll find out. But yeah, speaking of themes tonight, Braun had a new theme too, did he not? And so Tiffany getting the old theme, Braun had the new theme. So I liked Braun's theme. I thought it was pretty good because the old one still had the I can't remember the siren in it, right? So tonight it was different though. But all right, let's see what else we've got coming up here. Okay, Balor versus Priest. Yeah, I'm with you. I think you got to do that at some point, right? While Priest is the champion, I feel like you got to do Balor and Priest. Or maybe Balor costs Priest the title, and then you do that afterwards. But probably means a little bit more with the title, right? Because you feel like Finn could want to come after the championship, and hopefully the ropes don't get Finn this time. That's all I'll say. Hopefully the ropes don't get him. You guys remember, just think about how far we've come from Finn Balor slipping on the imaginary whatever, coming off the ropes against Roman Reigns, to where we are now with some of the stories they have going on. Tremendous. So, hey, see you later, T-Rob. Appreciate you joining. And I appreciate all of you guys joining as well. Yes, thank you for your support. As I said, I have a lot of fun with these, and we'll start doing more of these live streams. Again, sometimes we may do them right after the show. Schedule sometimes we may have to do it the next day. But we will keep doing these because you guys are having a lot of fun with them. I'm having a lot of fun with them. And, yeah, I think we're going to – it's everybody says, there's that lull after WrestleMania. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff you can chew on now with the Bloodline stuff, what's next for Cody, a lot of other things going on. And so, Punk's going to be back at some point soon eventually. There's just a lot of stuff that you can kind of lean into now after WrestleMania. I think it's that big lull. It's not going to be WrestleMania, but there's not going to be that huge lull there has been. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be pretty cool. So I'm going to get back to this one in just a second. So thoughts on the new SmackDown stage. I like the way they're doing the new stages because Triple H said it. They want to cram everybody into the building that they can. It's a smart move. You don't need those huge screens. Just get as many people in the building as you can and worry about everything else later. They'll make it work. So get a lot of people in there for sure. All right. So with the Cody story, we're just going to expect every match he has is going to win. And that's kind of what I said earlier. I'm like, what you've got to do, you've got to create some believability here that Cody can lose. But that's what it's one of the things when you do the long title reigns is you almost feel like there's never a chance that somebody's going to lose. But I think that's where at times you have to sort of lean in and say, and I'm not saying Cody's going to lose to AJ, right? But you have to start adding in some of those unpredictable title matches somewhere to where you kind of shock the system a little bit, where people are so used to seeing Roman carry it for 4 years. Then whoever else, Gunther, right? It just at some point you're like, he's not losing to this guy. And that's what you have to do now. That's the challenge for Triple H. And that's always the challenge when you have a top babyface champion like this is you got to create the believable heels who can actually take that title away from him. I don't think AJ's that person. But you've got to find people along the way. Gunther could be one of those guys. You could see it, right? You could see a possibility that Gunther could take the title. I mean, we know The Rock is in that category. Who else? That's the question. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how they do that. So we'll find out. But yeah, maybe do Balor Priest, Clash of the Castle. That could happen too. A lot of PLEs that, as we know, given the location, there's a lot of things they can do. And that's why I think Gunther taking it from Cody in Berlin would be awesome. So, all right, guys, I'm going to hop off. I appreciate it. Sheamus, Sheamus coming back. Who may get in the mix? I think Sheamus is going to go after that IC title, the one he's never had. So we'll find out with Sheamus. But sure, Joey, I appreciate it. Yeah, we might try to do the weekly reviews on all three of the WWE shows. Like I said, sometimes we may do it right after like we have this week. Sometimes it may be the next day, but we will try to do that much more. But all right, guys, thank you as always for joining. I appreciate all your support on the videos, the live streams, and everything. I just started this channel a couple months ago, and the feedback has been tremendous. We're having a lot of fun with it. And again, that's because of you guys. So thanks as always for watching. I'll have some new videos up for you this weekend as well. Looking at some stuff from SmackDown, some other stuff too. And like I said, vote in that retro review community tab poll and give me your thoughts on what you want to see for next week's retro review that we do. But again, appreciate you guys watching as always, and we'll talk to you again here soon at Wrestling Reaction.